And thanks, a minute past the hour. He is still on the loose today. Police are searching for the suspect responsible for shooting an Albuquerque police officer during a traffic stop, and they're asking for your help.
Yeah, the department released photos of the suspect, hoping someone will recognize him. They hope it will lead cops to the suspected cop shooter. News 13's Catherine Mazzone is staying on top of this manhunt. She's live in the Newsplex with the details. Good morning, Catherine.
Good morning, Crystal. You're absolutely right. The photos were captured from APD officer Lou Golson's lapel camera video. But police still haven't been able to identify the suspect from those photos. Now take a close look at these. This is the man police say shot the DWI officer and 31-year veteran with the department, Lou Golson. Golson is still in the hospital recovering. APD says the shooting rather early Saturday morning happened during a traffic stop, but APD isn't sure if it was random or targeted. Police say the SUV the suspect was driving was stolen from a local car lot just a day before. They say Golson was able to return fire, but they're not sure if the suspect was hit. Now, these photos are almost all cops have to go on. Now, police say they're also not sure how many shots were fired, but they did say they found the suspect's gun at the scene. Back to you, Crystal.
All right, thanks for that information, Catherine. Now, coming up in our next half hour, we'll hear from Chief Gordon Eden about the search for the suspect and how other agencies are now getting involved.
New and developing this morning, a suspected car thief leads police on a wild chase to a northeast Albuquerque neighborhood. According to officers, 50-year-old Christopher King drove away from them at the Albertsons at Lomas and Wantabo just before midnight. He blew a tire, they say, and officers followed the tracks to Mountain in Wyoming, where they say King crashed and took off on foot. Canine units were able to track him down. King is under arrest and is recovering in the hospital right now. More than a dozen officers participated in that chase and search. And again, coming up in our next half hour, more on why police say they had such a massive response to that, again, late night chase. Albuquerque police say 2 mall guards trying to stop some shoplifters were stabbed with a knife. It happened at the Macy's at the Coronado Mall. According to a criminal complaint, 2 guards caught 1 shoplifter, but they had to let him go after his partner in crime, accused partner in crime, James Littoral, charged them with a pocket knife. A Macy's guard and a mall guard each received small knife wounds while disarming and detaining Littoral. Court records show he had 2 pending felony cases from last year. A judge set his bond at $50,000.
That's based on the criminal history that I've heard, 2 pending violent cases. This one is also disturbing as far as the facts are concerned.
In one of those prior cases, Littoral is accused of leading deputies on a high-speed chase through the North Valley in July.
Santa Fe police say a serial burglar is off the streets after a homeowner shot at her. It happened Sunday around noon at a home in Agua Fria near Avenida Cristobal Colon. Police say Erica Duran broke a window and armed herself with a piece of glass. That's when police say the homeowner shot at her. Duran was not hit but did take off. Police found and arrested her shortly after. Police say neighbors identified Duran as a suspect that had been trying to break into houses for the past week.
There's a tragic end to the search for a missing 3-week-old baby today. Police in California say they found Eliza Dela Cruz's body in a dumpster behind a strip mall. Investigators began looking for the child when she disappeared on Saturday night. Police were called to her home about a shooting and found 2 brothers and the baby's mother with gunshot wounds. One of those men is believed to be Eliza's father. They are now searching for a man in connection with the shooting, but they're not saying if he's related to the infant. An incredible story of survival, meantime, in Kentucky after a plane crash that killed members of an Illinois family. Remarkably, though, one girl managed to walk away from it all. It happened on Friday as the Gutzler family was returning home from a Florida vacation. The family's 7-year-old escaped with a broken wrist and minor injuries. The young girl was able to navigate through a dense forest in near freezing temperatures before reaching help from a nearby home about 3/4 of a mile away. The FAA says air traffic controllers lost contact with the plane she was on after the pilot reported engine trouble. Both the NTSB and the FAA are investigating that crash today.
New this morning, while better weather is helping recovery crews of the AirAsia flight, CNN is now reporting what crews thought was a piece of the plane is only a ship. Crews are still trying to find big parts of the plane on the ocean floor, which is believed to have crashed more than a week ago. Indonesia's search and rescue director says 5 big objects have been spotted. 5 ships are in the area with equipment to try and detect the plane's black boxes.
Imagine sitting on the same plane for 28 hours. It happened to a flight full of people in the United Arab Emirates. Some of them are angry that they had to wait on the tarmac first for 12 hours before their 16-hour flight to San Francisco. Etihad Airlines says the plane ran into heavy fog that shut down the airport in Abu Dhabi. The airline is apologizing for the delay. Passengers say most people calmed down mid-flight.
It's hard to believe, but it's been almost 2 years since a bombing at the Boston Marathon. Today, the jury selection for the trial of one of the men believed to be responsible for the attack is expected to begin. The attacks happened back in April of 2013. 2 pressure cookers made into bombs exploded near the marathon finish, killing 3 people and injuring 260 others. Prosecutors say 21-year-old Dzhokhar Tsarnaev and his brother, 26-year-old Tamerlan Tsarnaev, were the ones behind the attacks in retaliation for U.S. actions against Muslim countries. Dzhokhar's older brother Tamerlan died in the shooting and chase with police several days after the bombings.
What this defense wants to show is whether or not this was a young man who was influenced and under the influence of his older brother, who was the mastermind.
Now, if convicted, Dzhokhar Tsarnaev could face the death penalty. The trial could go on for several months. Bombing survivors and first responders are expected to testify.
Time is 6:07. State officials are questioning the Navajo Nation's report that it spent more than $1 million to operate the Gallup Detox Center. The Gallup Independent reports the Navajo Nation says $1.6 million were spent in the first year of operation. State Senator George Munoz and Gallup Mayor Jackie McKinney both say they have not seen any documentation showing that that money was actually spent. Taos County commissioners are considering banning the sale of miniature liquor bottles. County officials tell the Taos News getting rid of them could cut access to cheap liquor, curb drunk driving, and create less litter. State law does allow local communities to ban the sale of those tiny bottles of alcohol.
Kristen, new and developing this morning, a massive response by APD overnight after officers caught up with a car thief. Police say around 11 last night, the man was in the stolen truck at an Albertsons near Lomas and Wantabo. When officers tried to approach the suspect, 50-year-old Christopher King, he took off. It didn't take long, though, for officers to track him down.
At one point, it struck an item, and we're not sure what he struck, but he blew a tire on the vehicle. And so officers discontinued any kind of chase or anything would be thought to be a chase, and just follow the track marks that the tire was leaving on the roadway.
Now, those track marks led police to Mountain in Wyoming. They believe at some point King lost control, crashed, then took off on foot. Officers then set up a perimeter and called in K-9 units who would find King. He was then arrested. This isn't the first time King has faced similar charges, but that wasn't the reason for the massive response by APD.
Our sensors are heightened just based on the stuff that's been going on within the city recently, especially with recent events that we did advise of earlier and today. So the more units we can have in the area, the better for both officer safety and the safety of the residents in the area as well.
Yeah, APD says the recent shooting of one of their officers has the department on high alert.
And this morning, we're getting a better look at the suspect in that shooting. Police are hoping new images will help track down the man responsible for firing twice at an officer. Catherine Mazzone has been sifting through the facts and joins us from the Newsplex. Catherine.
Well, that's right, Adam. Good morning. That officer is Lou Golson, and this morning he's continuing to recover in the hospital. His lapel camera was rolling and captured images of the shooting, but police have yet to track the suspect down. Now, it happened early Saturday morning in northeast Albuquerque. According to APD, Golson was in the middle of pulling over a suspected drunk driver when the suspect opened fire, hitting him several times. Police say this is the man who pulled the trigger.
I can't tell you if this was a targeted event. I cannot tell you if it was a random event until we actually have that suspect in custody. And we're able.
Now, Chief Gordon Eden says Lou Golson is a 31-year veteran with the department. He was shot twice and has undergone surgery at a local hospital where he continues to recover this morning. According to police, the suspect was driving a stolen SUV he swiped from a local car lot the day before. Golson was able to fire back, though it's unclear if the suspect was hit. Police did recover the suspect's gun from the scene, and right now that gun and these grainy images are all police have to work with. Eden says the full lapel video is now in the hands of the FBI, who's working to enhance the quality. Now, Eden wouldn't elaborate on Golson's injuries other than to say they're serious, and he'll likely have to undergo more operations in the future. Police are urging anyone who has any information to come forward, and the feds are now offering a $7,000 reward in the case. Adam, back to you.
Catherine, thank you. APD does tell News 13 their department is teaming up with other agencies around the city and the state. The U.S. Attorney's Office is also saying it's considering federal charges in that case. For one New Mexico family, Saturday's shooting is like deja vu.
Every time that one of these officers gets shot or hurt, it hurts us too.
Jim McGrain's son, James McGrain Jr., a Bernalillo County Sheriff's deputy, was shot and killed by Michael Astorga during a traffic stop in 2006. Since his death, they've started the Officer Street Survival Training Program. So far, more than 3,500 officers have taken the class. This morning, the McGrain family is thinking of Golson and his loved ones.
We are praying for him. Hope he gets well and heals and be able to get back on his feet where he can get back on the job.
Astorga has been sentenced to life in prison in the death of Deputy McGrain.
Funeral services for one of the New York police officers shot and killed while on duty is getting a lot of attention this morning after hundreds of officers in attendance shunned the mayor once again. Yesterday, more than 10,000 mourners lined the streets of Brooklyn to pay their respects to Officer Wenjian Liu. He was shot to death in his patrol car along with his partner, Officer Rafael Ramos. Several officers turned their backs on New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio as he gave the eulogy on screen. They did the same thing at Officer Ramos's funeral. Police unions accusing the mayor of contributing to anti-police attitudes by siding with protesters who are angry over the deaths of black men at the hands of officers. We're following developing news overnight. Police are investigating a shooting at Rancho Encanto, that's near golf course in Paseo. It happened around 9 last night. Police say the victim was taken to the hospital. No word yet on their condition. We'll keep you updated on air and, of course, online as we learn more.
President Obama returns from a vacation today, facing a lot on his plate. The new Republican-led Congress is expected to convene tomorrow. The GOP plans on pushing the Keystone Pipeline bill, as well as repealing the health care reform law. The president also plans on proposing a series of new executive actions, which may include home ownership, college education, and jobs. The president's State of the Union address, by the way, takes place a little later this month on January 20th. The new head of CYFD, whose appointment to that office is sparking a lot of debate today, says she's ready to tackle the challenge. Former state tourism chief Monique Jacobson is trading in marketing the state of New Mexico for keeping its kids safe. She tells the Santa Fe New Mexican properly staffing the department and improving communication with police are her top priorities. Jacobson's appointment has come under fire because of her lack of experience in social work.
The New Mexico Public Regulation Commission is preparing to take up what some energy experts call a watershed utility case. Today, the commission will begin a 2-week hearing on a proposal that would close part of the San Juan Generating Station. That's a coal-fired power plant. The idea is to balance cutting pollution while keeping what people pay for power reasonable.
The discovery of dozens of dead coyotes in a New Mexico desert is stirring more controversy over coyote hunting contests. Last week, people jogging near Las Cruces Airport saw almost 40 coyote bodies. Those animals are not a protected species in our state, which means killing them is not regulated. The Southwest Environmental Center says the killing contests are a waste.
They promote an attitude of disrespect for life. It has nothing to do with ethical hunting. The coyotes aren't eaten. In most cases, the fur is not taken.
Hunters say it helps ranchers get rid of predators, and the New Mexico Desert Dogs, which holds hunting contests, says every year hundreds of thousands of dollars go back into habitat management when hunters do buy permits. They also say they contribute millions into the economy when buying supplies and staying in hotels.
It's now 6:38. There could soon be a new town in northwest New Mexico. The Kirtland area, just west of Farmington, is currently managed by San Juan County. But residents will decide whether to become a new town in tomorrow's election. If approved, a mayor and board of trustees could be elected in March, and the town could start operating in July.
6:38. If you're looking for a job, this might just be your week. Comcast is hoping to staff its new bilingual call center, and in just hours, the company starts the process of hiring for all positions, including sales reps and retention agents. The first round of recruiting starts today at the New Mexico Workforce Connection at 501 Mountain Road in northeast Albuquerque. Interviews start at 11. More interviews are taking place Tuesday through Thursday. They kick off 8:30 to 2:30 those days.